How's it going, everybody? CJ here, back with another video. We'll do another first thoughts today. Another first thoughts for Modern Horizons 2. This one is on Chatterfang, Squirrel General, coming into you from Disneyland once again. And before we hop into this video, remember, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're so close to 1,000. Let's break 1,000 before spoiler season ends. Comment down below what you're doing with Chatterfang. If you're throwing them in the deck, if there's any cool cards that I didn't mention that you think I should have mentioned, let me know down below. And in the description down below, we got a big link. You can check out the Discord to chat with us. We got the TCG Player affiliate link, the Patreon, and my personal store if you want to support the channel in any of those ways. We've got the Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and I think that's everything. Also linked down below, so check all that out. And we're going to hop into this. So, Chatterfang, Squirrel General. We have a really good squirrel legendary creature here that actually cares about squirrels. Very exciting. And I'm like, this card just seems sweet. I don't even know what to say about it. It just seems very, very sweet. It gives you a bunch of extra squirrel tokens. It's got a sacrifice outlet on it. This card's powerful. It's a very powerful commander. And the first card I want to talk about with it is Pitiless Plunderer. This card just kind of goes infinite with it in a bunch of different ways. Because every time a creature dies, you get a treasure token. Whenever you make any type of token, you get a squirrel token. So if you've got any sack outlet that's not Chatterfang, like any free sack outlet, then you have infinite treasures. If you have Chatterfang is your only sack outlet and you have 2 squirrels in play, you get infinite treasures just by paying 1 black, cracking the treasure, paying 1 black, sacking 2 squirrels, getting 2 treasures back, getting 2 more squirrels. Just continue, loop, 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 infinite treasures. If you have more than 2 squirrels, then you can go infinite on squirrels. You can also use anything like Alter Dementia to mill out your opponents. Like, you can win the game with just Pitiless Plunderer very easily. And at its worst, if you only have 1 squirrel in play, you can just board wipe all your opponent's creatures just by sacking that squirrel over and over and over again with that same treasure that it comes with, and just giving all your opponents +X, -X until they're all dead. So instant speed board wipe only on your opponent's creatures. Fantastic. Very, very powerful card in this deck. Next up, you can also win the game through Slimefoot and Ashnod's Altar, because you'll be able to make a Saproling token, which in turn makes a Squirrel token. You can pay 2 or you can sacrifice both of them to the Ashnod's Altar to make 4 colorless, put that back into Slimefoot to make 2 more tokens, and do that over and over and over again, and Slimefoot will drain your opponent's life totals. Easy. Some very good synergistic cards I'm going to talk about now. We got Doubling Season, Parallel Lives, Primal Vigor, all those W tokens. Easy includes, because, I mean, this is going to be a very heavy tokens deck. You've got Skull Clamp, seems fantastic in the deck, just turn your tokens into card draw. Helm of the Host, because what's better than just a couple squirrel tokens and doubling that number of squirrel tokens. It works similarly to Doubling Season and Parallel Lives, except it'll keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger because you're just going to keep making more and more and more Chatterfangs. And every time a new Chatterfang enters, you're getting another squirrel token, so it's just a little more synergy. We've got Verdant Embrace. Just seems like a decent enchantment to kind of make it so you can just make more tokens every turn. Vraska Golgari Queen, good sack outlet for card draw. She's got removal strapped to her, and she's got game-winning ability on her. Easy include. Revel in Riches, you got a sack outlet that lets you kill your opponent's creatures, and so you'll be able to make treasures using that, and those treasures will come in with squirrels, so seems good. Swarm Yard, easy include. You got a Squirrel Commander, this lets you regenerate it. Not much else to say about that. Sprout Swarm, you're going to be able to make a lot of tokens, so you'll be able to do this over and over and over again a lot of times just to make a bunch of extra tokens. Instant speed. It just seems like an easy include. As long as you have a green mana available, you'll be able to make more tokens. Pest Infestation, good removal card for artifacts and enchantments, and it will net you a bunch of tokens. And Eldrazi Monument, because you'll be easily able to create enough tokens to keep this thing around without any hassle whatsoever, and it'll just give your creatures a huge buff. Next up, I want to talk about token generators. First off, I'm going to talk about creatures or cards that make tokens in big bursts, like just lots of tokens at once. You've got Grave Titan, which it's not a ton of tokens at once, but it does generate a lot of value over time. Azoni, 1,000 died, seems great to include. You're to sacrifice deck, you'll have stuff in your graveyard, you'll be able to utilize that very well. Skyclave Relic is kind of cool as a ramp card that can also later become a token generator. You've got Szat's Will, seems pretty good, being able to eliminate your opponent's graveyards and making your opponent sacrifice creatures. Solid. Thopter Assembly, it's the only Thopter that's going to be in the deck, so if you can get this thing to stick for a turn, you're creating 5 Thopters, that means 5 Squirrels. Seems great. Avenger Zendikar, one of the easiest includes in any green token deck. Army of the Damned, seems interesting in the deck. Being able to flash it back is nice. Deep Forest Tournament and Deranged Tournament, just Squirrel Lords that create a bunch of squirrels that'll end up creating double the number of squirrels. Great include. And then the next cards I want to talk about are token creators that create tokens like every turn, like just a consistent token creation as opposed to a burst token creation. You've got Awakening Zone, and those tokens are also mana dorks kind of, so that's nice. You've got Belladros, which is just an insane card. Being able to untap all your mana seems great. All your lands seems great. You've got Bitter Blossom, creating a very rogue every turn. Creekwood Liege, plus it's a lord for all your green and black creatures, which is nice. Unfortunately, the squirrel tokens are only green, so it'll only get 1/1/1, but I mean, that's still good. Next up, we got Elder Gargaroth. Every time you attack, you'll be able to create a token if you want to, but it also gives you the ability to gain life or draw cards if you need to. Just a lot of utility there. Plus, it's a great blocker. Does the same thing. You got Grismold, which seems really good in the deck because you're going to be sacrificing a lot of tokens and growing Grismold very big, so there's no reason to not run that. Michaeloth, another great token generator. Ophiomancer, you'll have tons of sack outlets, so it'll be pretty easy to get rid of that snake token, so you're just able to make a new one every turn. Phyrexian Swarmlord, it gradually gets more and more tokens, and they're infect tokens, which is another win con. Seems pretty cool. Tender Street Dryad, one of the best token generators in green. Just super good. Becomes a big lord. Love that card. And Verdant Force, same thing except it's more mana and doesn't have the lord effect. But still, pretty good card in the deck. And now I just want to talk about some one-off cards that are really good for token generation. Just cards that have decent synergy. Arachnogenesis creates a ton of tokens all at once. It is a very protective card, like the Spider Fog. Good card. You got Arasta of the Endless Web. I really like this card. I don't think it sees enough play, and I think it'll be good in this deck. Every time your opponent's cast an instant or sorcery, you're going to end up with 2 tokens out of it. Seems good. You've got Endrick Sar. Tons of sack outlets. You'll be able to get rid of the Thrall tokens, so Endrick Sar sticks around, and you'll just be able to create tokens like crazy. Fuel of the Dead. Easy land include. Like, it doesn't even take up much of a slot. And it'll just create tokens a lot. Like, especially if you're on fetch lands and stuff like that, it'll be able to put in a lot of work. Freyalise seems pretty sweet because you're able to +2 to create 2 tokens now. And once you can get that -6 off, you'll be able to draw a ton of cards because of all the tokens that you have in play. Gilded Goose seems good. Enters with a whatever it's called, food token, which means also a squirrel token. You can generate food tokens with it, also generating squirrel tokens, and you can use it for ramp, just high utility there. You got Goldvein Pick and Prying Blade. You got Forest Walk on Chatterfang, so it's a good chance you'll be able to get in on somebody without having to worry about anything. And with these cards, you'll be able to make a treasure token when they hit, which also makes a squirrel token, so that's not bad. You got Kalitas to get tokens off your opponent's creatures dying, and also just to hose your opponents that have graveyard-based decks or sacrifice decks because their creatures will get exiled. Colony Garden, land, enters the battlefield, you create a token, now you create 2. And the last token creator I want to talk about is Scoot Swarm. This card seems insane. Like, you're just gonna twice as fast go nuts. Well, not twice as fast technically, but you're just gonna go absolutely nuts with tokens with this card in play. And the next category I want to talk about is the Aristocrats cards, because this is going to be a great Golgari Aristocrats commander. So some of the stuff you can include is cards similar to Dictator Erebos, including Grave Pact and Butcher of Malakir. You're sacrificing a lot of things, make your opponent sacrifice stuff too. You can get a lot of card draw off sacrificing your squirrels through cards like Smothering Abomination, Dark Prophecy, Erebos Bleak-Hearted, Moldervine Reclamation, Species Specialist, which I think is a really cool card for this deck, and Liliana Dreadhorde General, which is fantastic in the deck because it's also got token creation too. You can also win the game through cards that drain your opponent's life, similar to Bastion of Remembrance, which also produces a token, which will produce then another token, and that seems like a great synergy. You got Blood Artist, Zulaport Cutthroat, Poison Tip Archer, and Sir Conrad. All those seem like great includes as well. You've also just got some one-off cards that work really well with sacrificing, including Black Market to make a bunch of mana, Ward-Eye Witch so you can scry. You've got Lolith Spider Queen, which is an interesting card that I do not remember what it does. Whenever you sack a creature, you're going to be throwing loyalty counters onto this Planeswalker. Unfortunately, this Planeswalker doesn't come out until the D&D set, but it seems like it would be a great include in the deck once it does come out. It's got creates 2 tokens, so that's going to be 4 tokens, and it's got a win the game thing on it, so... Well, kind of a win the game thing. It's not really, but it's token creation and it's token creation, card draw, and loyalty counters go up whenever you sacrifice something. It's going to be an easy include in this deck, and you just got to wait a little bit for it to come out. Then extra sack outlets is always good. So I already mentioned Ashnod's Altar and Altar Dementia, but Phyrexian Altar also seems great, and so does Viscera Seer. Great cards in the deck. And the last category I want to talk about is squirrels. You can build this squirrel tribal very easily. You've got stuff like Toski, which actually could probably be in the deck either way because you're making a bunch of creature tokens, so you'll be able to get in damage pretty easily and draw a bunch of cards off Toski. You got Acorn Catapult, which can generate you good squirrels. You got Acorn Harvest, Chatter of the Squirrel, Druid's Call. All of these basically just create more squirrels. Liege of the Hollows, which is interesting. Also, it's actually not bad just inside the deck without a bunch of squirrels because of the fact that you can just sacrifice it and dump all your mana into it and create a ton of squirrels, and that's double the number of squirrels. Also, it's reserve list, so keep an eye out on that. Then there's Nut Collector, and there's some new cards including Ravenous Squirrel and Squirrel Sovereign that seem great. You got Squirrel Mob, Squirrel Nest. If you throw in Squirrel Nest, you can also throw in Earthcraft for an infinite combo there, and Squirrel Wrangler. Also, if you're going to go very tribal, you should throw in stuff like Coat of Arms, Obelisk of Erd, Metallic Mimic, stuff similar to that, just tribal cards, because if you're going tribal, it makes sense. Make it so your squirrels are a lot bigger than they would be. And that is everything I have for Chatterfang Squirrel General. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.